What is up, guys? Rick Hack is here, and today we are discussing hidden exotics in Destiny. We are going to be taking a look at what hidden exotics are, how they were found, and what their existence means for the future of Destiny, especially with the upcoming Rise of Iron expansion. We're not really going to be looking at each hidden exotic in detail. I plan to actually do a series on that, but rather just look at the general topic of hidden exotics to better inform the Destiny community. So, hidden exotics, what are they? Well, the best way to explain them is to show you guys right off the bat an example of a hidden exotic. So these right here, this picture here, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this picture. I'm sure a lot of you guys can, say right off the bat what these are. But these are actually a exotic Titan gauntlets, the Ruin Wings. Now the Ruin Wings, what they actually do is make it so that heavy ammo will drop more often, and then when you pick up a thing of heavy ammo, you get more out of it. Like if I have a rocket launcher, I'll usually get 3, sometimes 4, rocket launcher rounds from picking up a heavy ammo thing with the Ruin Wings, where if I didn't have them, I would get 1 to 2. So very useful exotic gauntlets. I use them all the time, especially in strikes. They're really good, and again, I'm sure you guys even have these for yourselves, or you've seen other people use them. But what about this picture here? Now, these are an entirely different story. They look like another, symbol of an exotic in Destiny. They look like they belong in Destiny, but I guarantee none of you have these, and none of you have seen anyone else use them in Destiny. So, what are they? Did I make this on Photoshop? Well, no. These are actually the Titan exotic gauntlets, the Thagomizers. Now what these do is that they actually give you another melee charge as the Titan, and they actually make it so that your Fist of Havoc better recharges your melee, and your melee better recharges your Fist of Havoc. So, how do I know about these? How are these found if, again, no one has these and no one has seen anyone use them? Well, these are an example of a hidden exotic within Destiny. These gauntlets are currently in the game of Destiny, but no one can get them. So, that brings up a lot of questions, but first and foremost, how do we know about these? Well, these gauntlets were found with the method that is used to find most hidden exotics within the game, that is data mining. Now, data mining, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this, but what data mining actually is the process of going within the game's files and looking at the game's coding to discover certain changes and certain hidden things, like these exotics, that aren't on the surface of the game. So someone who has a more intimate knowledge of coding and of the game will actually go within Destiny's files. Destiny is, although it's a video game, it is a program like tons of other programs like Pokemon Go, like Microsoft PowerPoint, like pretty much everything else, that we use with technology, and is created with lines of code. So somewhere within Destiny is actually a file that talks about exotics, and it will say, exotic name equals Thagomizers, ability equals, and then the exotic ability. Now, of course, it's not that simple. It's a little bit more complicated to read, but someone who actually knows how to read it can look in the game's files, read this, and say, hang on, the Thagomizers, they're not in the game. They are not currently in the game of Destiny, but right here I'm looking at the file, of the Thagomizers telling me what it does. Attached is this image that you're seeing on screen right now, and then right below the Thagomizers maybe is the last word, like another exotic that we actually do know within the game. So they're an exotic within the game, but for whatever reason, they are not dropping in the loot table. There is no quest to get them. You can't acquire them. But that is how exotics are found. That is how hidden exotics are found. Someone goes within the code, reads it, and then brings that information to us. And obviously, we have something like this where clearly you can't get it in game. That's how we know it is a hidden exotic. So that immediately brings up the question, why? Why is there an exotic like this? We know the ability. There's a picture of it right here, but you can't actually get it in game. Why is that done like that? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. The first and most interesting case is that we haven't figured out how to get it. Now, this is because of this exotic right here. This is the Sleeper Simulant. Now, there's a couple of other examples of exotics that have done what I'm going to show you with the Sleeper Simulant, but the Sleeper Simulant is the best example. When the Taken King expansion first launched, we already knew about the Sleeper Simulant. We found its file in-game, so we knew the Sleeper Simulant was one of the new exotics added with the Taken King. But the very interesting thing was that you couldn't get it. No one knew how to get the Sleeper Simulant. It wasn't dropping just normally, it wasn't dropping from exotic engrams, it wasn't dropping from Nightfalls, no one could get it. And that created the search for the Sleeper Simulant. There was actually an entire subreddit, as you're seeing right here, dedicated to the search for the Sleeper Simulant. Like, there was so many theories. I myself spent, oh my goodness, hours on the Fallen Saber Strike trying to, find what could activate a hidden passageway or something to find the Sleeper Simulant. Now that's because the Fallen Saber Strike is so closely associated with Rasputin, who is associated with the Golden Age technology like the Sleeper Simulant. Zavala even says in that bloody strike, there must be another way to make Rasputin let us in without hurting us, but it turns out what happened was that, again, the Sleeper Simulant, we all knew about it, there was a huge search for the Sleeper Simulant, but randomly, next month on the 7th, the quest to get it just became available, and every 7th of the month, they actually, I think, recently changed that, but the 7th of every month, the quest to go and get the Sleeper Simulant just randomly becomes available. A very disappointing end to the search for the Sleeper, especially if you're reading all of the crazy theories as I was. There were some incredible theories and evidence behind them. However, as I was saying, that is the first example of why some exotics were hidden in the game, is that the quest to do them hadn't become available immediately off the DLC's launch, or we haven't figured out how to get them yet. And we haven't figured out how to get them, that actually is more associated with the Black Spindle. That was actually really well hidden. I don't think anyone had actually data mined it at that time, maybe just the name but not the image, and then that was one of, again, a hidden exotic within the game we had to figure out to go into that daily mission, do the special activity, and get the Black Spindle. So some exotics were hidden for the purpose of later releasing, or that we had to discover them for ourselves. They weren't simply added within to the loot table, so you couldn't get them from a normal drop or a Nightfall. Now this is of course important because with the updates leading up to and the actual Rise of Iron expansion coming out, there's going to be a lot more exotics revealed, and I'm sure there's going to be some data mined, just like the Sleeper, that you can't get just from the loot table. We as the community will have to figure out how to actually get these exotics, so stuff like the Sleeper will come up again. However, does this apply to something like the Thagomizers? Have we just not figured out, after all this time, after over a year, how to get the Thagomizers? Well, probably not. I think Bungie has actually gone on record on saying there's no more hidden exotics within the dailies. After the Black Spindle was discovered and then everyone was going absolutely apeshiz over all of the dailies. So it is extremely unlikely that we just haven't figured out how to get some of these hidden exotics within the game. It could be the world's most elaborate troll, and Bungie could just be wondering, when the heck is anyone going to do this daily mission right and then unlock the Thagomizers, for example, but that is very unlikely. Now, the other reason for why hidden exotics like the Thagomizers exist within the game but you can't get them is simply because Bungie might have wanted to take them out. Maybe they were, unbalanced, maybe they didn't do enough, maybe they were totally overpowered, and, the DLC was fast approaching and they just had to make the decision to remove them from the game, or maybe they wanted to introduce them at another time but that just never panned out. For whatever reason, Bungie just removed them from the game. So why can you see a picture of them? Why do we know about the Thagomizers if Bungie wanted to remove them from the game? Well, simply it would have just been easier on the coders. Now, I don't know a ton about designing video games and coding and that stuff, but I would assume that it would be easier to just remove the Thagomizers from the loot table, like remove them as a drop from the loot table if you wanted to take them out, rather than go into the game's code and actually remove their entire existence. And so when, again, crunch time is coming up, the DLC is about to launch, and you only have a limited amount of time, it is just easier to remove these exotics from the loot table rather than again going and erasing their existence. So whatever the reason, the result of all of this is that we have a decent amount of exotics within Destiny that we can't get, or perhaps that we don't know how to get. Now, what does this mean for the future of Destiny? Well, we might still be seeing these exotics. Now, actually, during E3, Playboy, of all people, asked Bungie about these exotics. They actually were on their game enough to ask Bungie specifically about the hidden exotics. They said, hey, are we going to see new exotics, or are we going to see the exotics that we already know about? Now, Bungie did say they were very specific in saying that there will be all new exotics coming to the Rise of Iron that we haven't seen before, but they never said that, no, the exotics that you currently see within the game, we aren't getting. They simply said that these aren't the only things we're getting. There are for sure going to be entirely new exotics. So that does mean the way they answer the question really makes me think that some of these exotics will make their way into the Rise of Iron. The Thagomizers might be, rebalanced a little bit or finally released into the loot table for the Rise of Iron, meaning that, knowing about these exotics is pretty cool. You basically know about exotics that are going to be within the Rise of Iron, potentially. Now, with that in mind, I hope you guys keep an eye on the channel, because again, I plan on doing a series on all of the different hidden exotics leading up to the Rise of Iron. Now, I want to make this video first a video detailing what exactly hidden exotics are, so that I didn't just make a video about the Thagomizers and then everyone was like, what the hell are the Thagomizers? What is this guy talking about? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. I stream Destiny a ton and I play with viewers a ton as well. Now that's it for the video. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, have a good day. Now, I got to play Titanfall 2 recently at EA Play. I was invited out to LA to attend a special Titanfall 2 event where myself and a few other YouTubers were able to play the game for a decent amount of time early. We were also given some exclusive Titanfall 2 multiplayer gameplay, which you can see playing in the background during this video. A lot of it was from the trailer, but there's actually quite a bit of it kind of extended beyond what was in the trailer, and actually featuring some new weapons that weren't seen in the official multiplayer trailer, so that's definitely pretty cool for Titanfall fans. Now let's get started by discussing what new features were added in the Titanfall 2 multiplayer.